All right, so talking about DAWs is a risky topic because there are some diehard fans out there of each software. So I will tread carefully, but also I'm interested to hear in the comments, what you think and which one is your favorite as well. There are heaps out there. And firstly, DAW or Digital Audio Workstation is just a fancy name for a production software, which basically they all sort of do the same thing in a way that they all help you record into a digital format. They'll all help you to create something using MIDI, create music using MIDI, and probably allow you to mix your tracks in some way, shape, or form. So they all, in a sense, they all, in essence, do the same thing, but they are a little bit different. And, there's loads out there. You've got your Logic, your Ableton, Pro Tools, Reaper, Cubase, FL Studios, Studio One, and I'm sure I've missed loads. So it really depends. And my main thing is that whatever you feel comfortable with, use that. People start off with GarageBand and then they just use that the whole time, and that's totally fine. People have used Audacity, which is a free software and quite limited in what it can do, but they've used that as a form of creativity to use that limitation to make something really unique, and they've just kind of stuck with that. So whatever you use, that's fine. There's no need to really change to something else unless you want to. So that's one. And the other thing, I guess Logic seems to be the most widely used these days, and I guess it's kind of good enough at everything that it does, fairly well. So it's a good option, and I think naturally for people that start with GarageBand, it's the natural transition to go into Logic. And people that have a Mac, maybe sometimes you can kind of tend to go down that route because it just kind of comes with GarageBand and people go down that way. And then Pro Tools, I guess, seems to be sort of the industry standard by anyone who's going to focus on mixing and maybe mastering as well. But I would say unless you're really focusing on that element, maybe if you're doing a lot of recording for like orchestras or kind of focusing on those big recording sessions, it would be the choice for that. Other than that, if you're making like electronic sort of music, I don't know if Pro Tools would be the right choice. Again, people can have their own kind of opinions on this. Ableton is my kind of DAW of choice, and there's a few reasons for that. I find it really, really intuitive after you get over the first hurdle, because it does kind of look a little bit different to other DAWs, and you need to kind of get your head around that. But after you do, I find it quite easy to do certain things that maybe are a few further clicks away in other DAWs. And the main thing for me was that I wanted to be able to play live, and Ableton Live is called Live for a reason, because it was kind of built for live before it was built mainly as a production software. So it works really, really well for that. And Logic now has incorporated this live sort of thing, which looks quite similar to Ableton's Session View, into their interface. But I don't know if it would work as well, considering that it's a fairly new function. But I'm not going to kind of comment on that because I haven't really used it that much. Then all the other ones, I mean, FL Studio seems to be something that maybe dance music people seem to love. Cubase, I still kind of have a soft spot for Cubase. I did use that a bit to get started, and I still really like its what it can do with recordings, especially for vocal recording. There's some vocal editing functions built within Cubase that are excellent, that I find I haven't really found in other production softwares. So there is that. And then there's all the kind of other ones that I think are used maybe a little bit less than those, which maybe are a bit less popular. The other thing to think about as well is when you're choosing a production software, how much content is out there for you to learn from. Because if you're choosing a really obscure production software, it might be harder to find how to do things because there's less videos out there for it, for example. Or maybe there's a lack of community for it, which I think does make a difference really once you get to a point where you're looking for some support and some people to ask questions to. So, you know, who facilitates that that community. So yeah, I think some of the production software like FL Studio seems to have kind of like a bit of a community as well. I know Ableton definitely has. I'm not quite sure about the others. So these are a few things to think about when you're choosing your DAW, but like I mentioned, it really doesn't matter which one you use. I would say just get started with whatever maybe you have access to. Like GarageBand is free, Audacity is free, but Ableton and Logic now have a 90-day trial. So you can try it, do whatever you want, you know, save things for 3 months, and then decide if you want to purchase them. So, you know, because there can be a bit of an investment in it as well. So just see, you know, your budget might also impact what you decide to use. So there's a few things to consider, and I've kind of shared a bit of my opinions, but keen to hear what you think as well. And if you have liked this video and found it useful, please make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you.